Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, thanks for joining in. My name is Jonan Kandwanaho, and I'm the Managing Director, Jonaki Holdings Limited. I also double as the Marketplace Champion at King Church. I'm glad to have you this evening. And I'll be sharing on the basic principles to create wealth. Basic principles to create wealth. Last week I shared about business continuity and growth, but I realized that you cannot start a business or you cannot start any venture without having money. Money is part and parcel of every business that you intend to start in the future or even now. Almost everything starts with money. Almost everything starts with money. So before we talk of business continuity or growth, we have to first talk about income. How you can grow your income. Just like I was sharing with my colleagues some time back, if you had one stream of income and this COVID pandemic came in, you'd find it very hard to thrive. Because that means if you have one stream of income and it's cut off, you're barely left with none. And the only option you have is either perhaps to beg or delve in your house and you start concerning yourself on how life is going to progress. But if you have more than one stream of income, it is not necessarily true that they all close at one go. For example, if I had a job somewhere and we are not working at the job, and I have perhaps a small venture or a small farm or a small activity I'm doing on my plot of land or any property that I have, I would concentrate on that during this time. Or if I had a skill that I could polish up, for example, I saw a boom in some of the guys who are good at ICT. I've personally given business to some guys to develop website for my company. Others have actually been managing my pages, some of my business pages, which at a cost, at a fee. So meaning that if they had a skill of ICT and they are no longer active in their former employment, now they had to focus on the skill they had forgotten about to apply it at a cost. So the basic principles I would like to share about today: income, savings, assets, and cash flow. And I'll definitely start with the income. So I would like to pose a question to you guys. What income streams do you have as of now? If you had one income stream before COVID came, it should be an eye-opener that now one stream of income cannot sustainably run you. How have you opened your eyes? You can keep sharing down there. I'll be going through your submissions. How has this opened your eyes to evoke the skills that you have or that you had and you are not aware of, that you can now evoke to put into application and get some income from the skill? Which skills have you evoked? Are you thinking of evoking to become a stream of income? To become a stream of income. Because it's only then that you can think of savings. It's only then that you can think of developing. It's only then that you can think of progressing. But unless you have an income, either way, you cannot progress. So you need income to start with. Before you budget, before you do anything, you need income. To sustain yourself in Kampala, you need an income. Whether formally employed, whether starting a business, whether getting a skill, you need an income. So one time I was speaking somewhere and one of the guys said, I've just finished campus. I'm a fresh graduate. I don't have any capital. I don't have any money. The money that my parents had is done. They used it to sponsor me at the university. So what do I do now? So the speaker told him, wake up one morning. Is this venture you can actually do without capital? Wake up one morning. I understand you have neighbors. I understand you have colleagues in the neighborhood who have cars. Take it as a sample. Wake up one morning, knock at the neighbor, even if you actually do not know them very well. Tell them, you have your car in the parking lot. Today is a Saturday, perhaps he has not worked. I would like to wash your car. All you have is a jerry can and soap to wash the car. Would anyone refuse on such an offer? If someone came in the morning and said, you know what, I'll help you wash your car from your parking lot. One, the owner of the car will have saved time to go to the washing bay to wash the car. And then two, he'll be concentrating somewhere else, perhaps reading, perhaps organizing his work, perhaps attending to his family while his car is being washed, rather than much of the time that is spent at the washing bay. And more so, if you offer it as a free service, someone will be very happy and excited to actually let you wash their car. And he washed the car. So the guy washed the car of the first guy free of charge. He made sure that he washed it meticulously clean, sparklingly clean, because he knew what he wanted. He had a vision, because he had a plan of having perhaps the washing bay in the future. But how would it start? So he washes this guy's car. The only capital he had was a jerry can where he could actually fetch water from the tap and soap. So he washes this first guy's car, and it was sparklingly clean. So the guy thanked him. So he proceeded to the next guy, knocked and said, can I help? I'm very good at washing cars. I have the skill. What I need is water, and I have my soap. Today I'll wash free of charge at your convenience. Then if you appreciate my work, you can always contact me. And who would refuse on such an offer? I mean, it's free of charge. And more so, the guy has the zeal, has the motivation, and the confidence to tackle a job which perhaps other people would undermine. And the neighbor said, no worries, just wash. So the guy proceeded to wash the second car. And the guy washed it meticulously clean. So the guy was very amused. He even called the neighbor, said, man, there's some guy here. He says he's very good at washing cars, and he has just washed my car. It's sparklingly clean. And so you would want to have such a service. He says if you need him any other time, he can always come. But let's first test his service free of charge. So the guy washes the third car. And people are very happy. People are very happy. The third guy, he washed the car, he was also very happy. And the guy left, went to another set of apartments, did the same thing. So that whole day, the guy was washing the cars free of charge. And the guys were very happy because he had this motivation, he was very excited, because he knew he didn't have a way out, and this was going to be looked at as an income stream. One, he didn't have a job. Two, he had the skills. Three, he had his soap, because soap is affordable, perhaps 1,000. Now, you're not counting the possibility of even those guys, after appreciating, tipping you much more than you didn't have used to actually wash the car. Some people get excited out of your motivation, and they tip you beyond what you'd actually get after washing the car on a formal platter. So the guy went. Before he knew it, the following day, after I think like 5 days or 4 days, he had built clientele after doing a sample of washing for free and doing it meticulously clean. So people would look up to him. People would look up to him. So after like 3 days, people started calling him. Someone would be home. He said, you know what? I'm here at home. Can you pass by and wash my car? I don't feel like going to the washing bay. And he left his number there. Before he knew it, almost all the guys he had washed the cars for were calling, please come. So before he knew it, work got out of hand. He was very, very busy. He was very busy because he had clientele more than he could actually serve. People are calling here, the other one's calling here, people are calling there, wanting their cars to be washed from the parking lot. And all they had to provide was just water and soap. The guy had clientele. Each was now paying about 7,000 Ugandan shillings. Cars became overwhelming to the extent that now he had to look for another person to help him. But he had to identify a person who had passion, who knew what he wanted, and who would share a vision with him of a future perspective of having a venture, perhaps a washing bay. But he was now building clientele for the future washing bay. He was building clientele for the future washing bay. So he shares with a colleague who had similar passion, who had the same vision, and he joined him. Before he knew it, they were having clients, telling that they were earning over 1 million shillings a month. This is a person who didn't have a job. He didn't have a job. But he woke up one morning, he decided to take on that. Months after, the guy had to have a washing bay. And through referrals, because of the work he was doing with a lot of passion, as one of the income streams, there was a lineup of clients. And he had built trust. He could not even be trusted with the car. You've seen guys, cars, you give him the keys, trusted, washes the car, brings it back at your convenience. And you don't have to spend a lot of time. You don't have to sit it there waiting for the guy to wash. So that was a job that someone was advised to start without capital, without money. So many a time we think all the time we need capital, we need money to start any venture. Sometimes it's not the case. All you need is passion, all you need is your idea. All you need is a mind that can reason with you and even perhaps finance that idea. Your network, your social capital. So I don't think if you give it yourself or you give it attention that you can fail to get someone to actually fund your idea, or you can fail to get an income stream or a job. Talk of someone who has skills in ICT. Of late, physical meeting has been a problem. Isn't Zoom answering our problems at our convenience? We can ably chat, we can ably meet, we can ably conference, ably at the comfort of our homes. Because physical meetings were next to impossible because of COVID-19. So meaning that the person who started Zoom was now harvesting money. He perhaps didn't have a picture of COVID that it would happen now, but why did he persist on? I read like in January he had 3 million clients, but now he has over 300 million clients. And its net worth now, the net worth of Zoom is worth more than even, I think, 7 leading airlines in the world. 7 airlines combined. But there was Skype, there was other medias, there was Facebook, there was, mention them. But he still persisted. He had a vision that one time his thing would actually pick up. So what skill do you have that you can receive to translate into an income stream? You could be a good writer. You could be a good blogger. You could be good at anything else. How can you translate that to an income stream? How can you translate that to an income stream? It's a question I'm asking you now. Because before you think of anything else, before you think of budget, before you think of planning, before you think of spending, you have to have something to spend. Even before you think of eating, you have to think of something you're going to spend on, to get where to get the money before you actually spend it. And of course, there are some things that are out of bracket, which you're beyond. If you're watching me now, there are some things you're beyond. Stealing or conning people is not an option. It's not. For the Lord said, I'll bless the works of your hands. So what are you putting your hands on that the Lord can actually bless? That can translate into an income stream. And it's from that you can base to fund your expenses. So before you think of anything else, income stream is priority. Even if it means polishing up your skills to get a job, polish those skills. Even if it means taking on a course to get the skills required, get those skills. Even if it means partnering with a friend and supplementing him so that you can earn something, earn it. This is not the time to rest. It's time to work. It's time to work with our hands so the Lord can actually see something to bless us with. You have to touch something so that He can bless it. Then after getting your income, that's when you can think of saving. Now, there are two kinds of savings. You can save haphazardly for the sake of saving, or you can save on target. And there are pros and cons on each of them. Now, if you're saving on target, that is the best of the best. Because you know that every income that I get, there's a fraction of that is going to go to my savings. And until I clock that 50 million, until I clock that 100 million, until I clock that 12 million, until I clock that 1 million, I won't rest till I achieve that. So there are some people who tell you, if I don't have anything I'm saving for, I cannot save. So this form of saving can actually be helpful. Targeted saving. You're saving knowing that at the end of the day, after clocking that 50 million, that 30 million, you're going to buy that plot of land. You're going to buy that car for a business. You're going to buy perhaps some animals, some cattle, some goats. You're going to enroll on a course. You can save to know that, this MBA course or this ICT skills course needs 5 million. But I cannot have that 5 million at one go. So what do? You have to save. You have to save so that you can reach the 5 million and enroll on that course and buy that land. So that is targeted saving, and it helps those who cannot save without any particular thing they are saving for. People are genuine, they can actually tell you, if I am not saving for anything, no, I cannot. So there are those who save knowing that at any particular moment they may have an idea that may need funding. And they save so that when that time comes and the idea comes up, they have the money at their hand to invest. Now that needs a lot of discipline. Saving without a particular target needs a lot of discipline. I've seen guys in investment clubs. Savings and investment clubs. Just saving haphazardly, you're saving. That's why it's called the savings and investment club, meaning that your savings are supposed to be having return on investment. If you're just there and you're a club and you keep putting money and there's nothing that it's doing 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, unless you have a target of reaching 5 million, 5 or 50 million to start investing, unless you have a clear goal and you have that strategic direction, then you're as good as not having an investment club at all. And I would advise you just pull out. Unless you have that direction. Because at the end of the day, you're going to accumulate money that is going to tempt even some of the people who keep it. That's why some of the people's money end up being eaten. Someone just blows it up. Your hard-earned money, your savings. Someone blows it up because it doesn't have any strategic direction of where you're going to invest the money. You're just saving for the sake of saving. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So if you're saving in a club, it should be able to invest on your behalf. You should task the leadership of that club to invest the money, because that's why you're saving. Or else it will be an expense. Before you know, you have to facilitate their meetings, the board meetings, the chairman's meeting, the committee meetings. They have to eat, they have to drink, they have to meet. Before you know it, their expenses are airtime, data are all covered by your money, which is not even having any income on it because it's not invested. So it ends up being an expense. So if you do not have enough discipline to save without a goal, waiting for any particular idea that might come, and it needs money, then you need targeted savings. Save on target. If it's a particular thing that you need, if it's you are scaling up your business, if you've been producing at 5 million and you want to scale up to 10 or 15 million, then you save towards that goal. Otherwise, your savings might end up being eaten away by the expenses. And how are these savings directed? I previously shared with my colleagues. You can break it down using the Jewish golden rule, where you partition your income based on what you want the portion of the money to do. You can use the 50, 20, 20, 10, where the 10% is a tithe, if you're Christian, and if you believe in tithing. To me, I do. And 20% is savings. 20% is giving, wedding meetings, colleagues, family members. You want to support 1 or 2 people. And then the 50%, you depend on it. Now, those percentages are not fixed, meaning that you can always revise them based on how much you earn. There are some people who tell you that the amount of money I earn, even if I use 10% of it, I might not finish it. So then, they depend on 10 for their expenses, because their incomes are too high. They are way, way off the roof. So you have to play around with the percentages. They are not fixed. But what you have at the back of your mind is that I'm saving this portion, I'm spending this portion. If you're Christian, I'm tithing this, and I'm giving out this. And you can't do away with giving, because you have friends. You have ever been supported. If you're wedded, people have ever contributed for you, for your wedding. So you also have to give back. You have to give back. Giving is a principle. You have to be generous. If you have to thrive, you have to be generous. So it has to be a particular amount of money, portion of your money, percentage of your money that goes to giving, that goes to tithing, that goes to saving, that goes to expenditure. Now, meaning that if you don't have anything you're saving for, and a person who is not self-motivated to save, the money might get out of hand, gets mixed up in the expenses, and you end up spending 100% or 80%. There are some colleagues I've always discussed with. Someone earns $1 million, but when he's going to end the month, he has spent over 1.5 million. You even go in excess of what you earned. Meaning that you're encroaching on the savings you're encroaching on the incomes of the next year. That's overdraft of the next month. Overdraft, you're asking for advance. But that detail I'll talk about it in the next talk next week. But now I'm discussing the 4 principles. Income, savings, now assets. Now if you're a person who is a targeted saver, perhaps you want to buy a particular asset, let's say land or real estate, or you want to buy cows or goats. You can categorize land or real estate and assets, meaning that if your intentions were to buy land worth 50 million and you've reached your 50 million, you can now buy your asset. And yet you've been giving, yet you've been tithing, and yet you've been living comfortably. based on your expenses. So now you have assets. Now, one thing I've come to realize about assets is that you could have a chunk of land, you invest there your 500 million, others even take loans from the bank, which are at a rate of over 24% per year. You take a loan of 100 million or 200 million to buy land. But have you ever considered how much return on investment after 1 year is that land? Is it above the 24 at which you're taking the loan? So if the asset that you've bought is not bringing you any income, then it becomes a liability because you're spending on it. It's holding your money and you pay for it somehow. If you got the money from the bank, you're paying interest on that money. And yet the land is not being utilized. It's not being productive. I've seen people who have done their net worth and they have this huge net worth, but the cash flow is almost zero. They are struggling to live, but they have properties worth billions of money. How can you translate your asset to give you cash flow? How can you translate? At least plant something on your land. Plant something. And in that way, it appreciates in value. If your land has been there and it's not being used, and now you get this idea that I've shared with you, that if you have an asset that is not producing cash flow, that is not producing any income, it is a liability in a way. Because you didn't just walk on the road and you pick that money and bought that land. You saved your hard-earned money. You'd want to have something on it. Do something on that asset so that it can give you cash flow. Because if you don't, at the end of the day, you're going to reach a moment and you cannot live anymore. Like someone said, oh, it's an analogy for most of the people. Akaina ke kakutasa in Uganda. That if you have land, I cannot sleep hungry. Simple. I definitely have to go for it and sell it. So before you reach that moment of selling your land for food, which is very, very dire and very unfortunate, then squeeze that land to give you some income. See how you can play around with the land to give you some income. If you got that land through a borrowed dollar from your circle, from a friend, get $1 extra, get $1 extra money, and develop that land so that it can be productive and you pay back at interest. If you borrowed that money to buy that land, perhaps get some extra money and see how you can make that asset productive. Because until you make that asset productive, it will end up becoming an expense. And you might even end up losing it. That's how people have sold their prime lands. Because he has this chunk of land which is very prime, but he will not eat soil. He will not eat the land. So he has to think of a way how he can make that land productive. If he hasn't thought in that angle, the only option he has is to sell the land, and the land is gone. Now you can imagine if you've saved for like 10 years and you sell the land because of food. Does it make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't. All you guys who are watching me should know that cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. You need cash flow. There's no around it. There's no around it. You need cash flow. Cash flow is king. Even if you don't intend to move out of your house, you still have to pay rent. You still have to eat. And if you intend to move out of the house, it even gets worse. Because you have to drive, you need fuel. You have to walk. You might perhaps step on someone's basket of tomatoes. You have to compensate them. You have exposure to risks. You might be crossing the road, God forbid, and you might get sick. All these are with us, and we move with them. So expenses are inevitable. So what you have to do, you have cash flow, have incomes. So it even eventually gets back to that circle. Income, savings, assets, cash flow. That circle. Where you lose a step at one of the four that I've mentioned, you get into expenses. You almost lose the things that you've worked for quite a while. So this is a picture I wanted to share with you of the incomes. I don't know if you can see it well. The expenses come at every corner. After income, at every corner there is expense, meaning that if you have an income and you don't intend to save it, it exits the circle, the wealth circle. This is a wealth cycle. This circle is wealth. If I get income and I don't save it, it exits as an expense. If I don't invest it into assets, it exits as an expense. So I'll sell that asset. Until that asset gives me cash flow, it will have to exit the circle. So how about we maintain this wealth cycle with the four items? Income, savings, assets, and cash flow. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much. And I'll be having the similar discussion next week. We have masterminds and coaching sessions where we walk with you the journey for 8 weeks until you grasp how you can productively use your assets that you have, how you can increase your income streams, how you can grow your wealth. We walk with you the journey for 8 weeks, of course at a fee. But for this forum, I'll be sharing with you a few principles that can get us started. I thank you so much. God bless you. Jonan Kandwanaho, Chief Executive Officer, Jonaki Holdings Limited. We do money lending as well as transport. Thank you. God bless you.